Hey friends, Cindy from DIYBeautify.com here, and today I'm sharing how to make coffee filter peonies. I shared these over on my Instagram channel the other day and Facebook, and it kind of blew up. A lot of people loved these peonies. So first of all, here's the flowers that we're going to make. Aren't they gorgeous? Ruffled petals. The color is soft and just beautiful, kind of a shabby chic. So let's talk about supplies. It's incredibly easy, incredibly inexpensive to make these flowers. We're going to need obviously some coffee filters. These ones are 3¼ inches, but honestly any coffee filters will do. I picked mine up at Dollar Tree, and to turn them from white into this beautiful I don't know what color shade this would be. It's just beautiful. We're gonna dye them, and the way that I dyed mine, I wanted like a really soft look. I didn't want bright, but you can do whatever you want. So I just took stacks of coffee filters, and like I didn't do it individually. I dyed them in groups of, I don't even know, probably 5 or 7. And I dumped them into some tea stain that I made, and some other ones I put into, you can use food coloring. I actually had some gel food coloring from Wilton where you don't need very much, and I'll pop in a couple pictures here of what that looked like. So once you have dipped your coffee filters into your dye, you just want to lay them out to dry, squeeze out the extra moisture, and in just an hour or so, you're going to have these circles of dyed coffee filters. So the other thing you're going to need is some wire. This is 18 gauge that I bought on Amazon. I haven't actually used these yet because I've been using, I have this strand of silver wire. I can't even tell you where it came from. I hang on to things like this because I know eventually I'll be able to use them. You just want something that's flexible, but at the same time is sturdy. These flower heads are not heavy, but you do want them to be able to, you know, stand in a vase and not droop over because the wire is so flimsy. You're going to need scissors, hot glue, and then optional floral tape to cover your stems, as I've done here. So let's get into this tutorial and make some coffee filter peonies. What's really nice about these coffee filter peonies is you only need 6 coffee filters to make this flower. So I like to go through my stack that I've dyed and I organize them by color. And I like to use a really soft pink for my insides. And then the rest of them are pretty much my tea stain coffee filters. The outside petals might be slightly darker. You can do what you like. I'm just telling you exactly what I did. So we're not doing any complicated folds with these petals. We're keeping it super easy. Okay. We're going to take them in a set of 2 and just stack them and fold them into a pie shape. All right. Same thing with the middle petals. Just fold them in half and then in half again. And you guessed it, the outside petals, fold them in half and in half again. Now we're gonna do something a little different with this one. Actually, I'll just do it now. We're gonna fold it again in half and one more time in half to create a smaller pie shape. This is usually the kind of pie that I want when I'm eating real pie, right? A nice big slice. Okay, so let me show you how we're cutting the petals. And again, this is after a lot of experimenting. One of the things that I tried is I just made snips all along, and those turned out pretty cool. But I think, yeah, that's what this one is. You can see that the inside petals are just little snips. I wanted more of a defined shape. So, and what I'm going to do with the inside petals, because I don't want them sticking out higher than the rest of the flower, I'm going to start cutting about 1/4 inch down. And I'm just making sharp little triangles. Nothing complicated about this. Just go through and snip. It helps to have a sharp pair of scissors. And these are my favorites. They're, I think I bought them on Amazon, and they're like $7.50, super cheap. So just make sharp little cuts. They can be, you know, not uniform. It really doesn't matter. Flowers in nature are not perfectly uniform either. So, all right. Once you've gone through, to sort of help define these a little more and help them to be able to move in my flower, I like to go through and just snip wherever the bottom part of the V is. I'm just snipping down about 1/4 inch. This just loosens up those petals, I guess we'll call them. This step is not necessary. Again, I'm just showing you what I did, and you can try it, and then you can make your adjustments as you want. Okay, so next we're going to take excuse me, the middle petal section, and we are just going to cut wavy petals. Just if you think of like a scallop, but not really a scallop, just waves. I'm struggling here. There we go. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. If you're having a hard time cutting them, you can separate your coffee filters and just work on one at a time. But these are just wavy shapes, and you do want to ensure that you do go down a little bit, right? You want them to be defined, but again, they don't have to be perfect. Now for this final outside petals that we cut into our sharp pie shape, we're gonna work on the end away from the point, and just we're gonna literally make a ice cream cone shape by rounding the top. And this is a little tricky when you're dealing with, I don't know how many layers there are here, but it doesn't have to be perfect. There you go. When we open it up, we have a heart. So we do want to open it up for this next step. And this, I think, is the magic secret trick that turned my peonies into ruffled petal peonies. Starting on the curved edge that we just shaped, I'm cutting little notches. Just sticking my scissor in and turning it and pulling it out. And I think I'm creating 4 or 5 notches per side. If you don't have sharp scissors and you're struggling with this, you can open it up even more, and it might be a little easier to reach, but then of course you have an extra set of petals to cut. So I'm leaving probably about 1/8 of an inch between my petals. And again, we're not going after perfection, just so you have some notched petals. And let me show you just how cool this looks. When we open it up, get rid of all the little bits. It's kind of like when you cut snowflakes, you get that, It's that same kind of an idea. And I like to turn these to just offset them. So let's open up all our petals. We've got our outside petals with our ruffles, our inside petals with our scallops, and our innermost petals with our little notches. And with these 6 coffee filters, we're going to create our peonies. So let me grab a stem. These ones actually come coated with a little bit of green paper, which is kind of nice. So now what we want to do is you want to find like a pin, a pin, just something with a sharp point. And we're going to start with those petals on the inside. We're just going to poke a hole. This is the easiest way I've found to thread these. Just poke a hole right in the middle and thread them onto your wire. Push it down to the center. Now to keep these from falling off, we're just going to leave about 1 inch at the end and bend it over so it meets itself. Now here's where we get to start getting creative, but it's easy. We're just going to fold them up and squish them. And to make these a little more defined, you can actually unfold them from each other and work on one layer at a time. And I just like to literally squish it and kind of push it down. You can loosen it up, but we're wanting to create that really tight center. And what really helps this look more authentic is to grab that part where you have your wire bent and twist it. And what that does is it really cinches up those petals, and they hold their shape and they just look better. You can go through and make any adjustments with your fingers, but you know, squishing and pressing and making wrinkles, that all looks really good with this these flowers. So for the next layer, we're going to do the same thing. Poke a hole in the center and thread them onto our wire. Now this time when we get near the top, this is where I'm going to use just a little bit of hot glue, a little dab on each side is just going to help this next layer stick to the top layer. And you can see it's very one-dimensional. So again, go through and just squish those petals with your hands. If you want to, you can separate them and do each one individually, kind of pushing down towards the center, because that's where we want it to be like really tight, is down here. Okay, and then again, you can see it's a little bit loose, but as soon as we twist it, that tightens up all those petals. And I don't want these to be quite as tight as the center, because I think that's what makes these peonies look more realistic, is that the outside petals are looser. So now I'm taking my last 2 coffee filters, making my hole and threading them up. And again, we're going to do a little bit of hot glue just to secure. You just need like a dab of hot glue on each side. And hold it for a minute. Can you see it taking shape? I'm just going to separate these slightly and just give a little bit of a pinch down into the center on that middle one. And then just kind of play with it with your fingers until you're happy with it. And you can give it a little final twist at the end. I mean, that was simple, wasn't it? These peonies, as you saw, were super easy to make from coffee filters, and they look so pretty in a vase. This is actually a Minka pot dupe, an anthropology pot dupe that I made using clay, and I do have a tutorial for that as well. I believe I have a YouTube video, so I will leave that in the link below. Please leave me a comment if you love these flowers and if you plan to make some, and you can even share your pictures with me so I can see how your flowers turned out and what colors you chose to dye your coffee filters. I hope you enjoyed this. Have a great day.